Arsenal are weighing up a big move for Karim Benzema. Multiple reports coming out of the Middle East and France that he wants out of the Saudi League. And Arsenal looking to win their first Premier League in nearly 20 years. In fact, 20 years are looking at a seismic move for one of the greatest strikers in European football history. Chelsea are also in the hunt as well. We're delving into this story, plus looking at Levi Colwill. We're looking at Gallagher and anything else you want us to do during this live stream. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let's go. Hit the like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing, my people. Get those bell notifications turned on as well. Breaking news late last night from Fraser Fletcher. And his words are Arsenal, and I want to make sure I word this in exactly the right way. I don't want to misrepresent it, but Arsenal are considering a blockbuster loan deal for superstar striker Karim Benzema. We know that Chelsea are also looking at this individual as well. And I want to gauge the instant reaction from Arsenal fans. Is this what you should be doing? Is this what you expect? Maybe you're someone that thinks Benzema is past it and you think it's an overwhelming move. I want to understand your take, your opinions, your views on this. For me, this is something Arsenal 110% should be doing. If Ivan Toney is unattainable, if Victor Osimhen is unattainable right now, you need more firepower. You need more goals. This has to happen. Ignore the nonsense about the salary that he earns in Saudi. Arsenal will not have to pay anywhere near that amount of money. Everybody knows it, but Arsenal should be pushing for this move. It comes along with news, as you can see here, from a Spanish reporter that Karim Benzema wants to leave Saudi Arabia and return to European football. The French striker has quickly realized that Saudi is not a country for him and his football. A return to Real Madrid has been ruled out. So that is not an option for him in any capacity. Julien Laurent has said that Benzema is exploring his options to leave after 6 underwhelming months in Saudi Arabia. Multiple Premier League clubs, including Chelsea, have shown interest in the Frenchman. We've seen this before. We saw the reports from Matt Law not too long ago that Chelsea are considering options. Firmino and Benzema are part of that. But now Arsenal have entered the race according to Fraser Fletcher, and they want to essentially look at bringing him into the Emirates for at least the next 6 months to help them with their lack of goals of late. His winning know-how, his experience, not only in top flight league football, but also his ability to navigate the Champions League. One of the greatest Champions League players in the history of our game. I would say that the only 3 players on his level or above him, Robert Lewandowski, Ronaldo, and Lionel Messi, in Champions League context. Outside of that, it's a different debate. The amount of goals, the amount of times he has won it, the amount of times he has been influential in Real Madrid winning that trophy is unbelievable. And Arsenal need that level of experience, in my personal opinion. In my personal opinion, anyway. But I want to get your views. I want to get your opinions on this situation. Chelsea fans as well, you're involved in this. You're looking at him too. It's been a very, very quiet window so far. But could we now be about to essentially start to see the beginning of an improvement to the window? I'd love to know your thoughts and feelings below. Let's have a look at some of the comments that are coming in here. Big Ben's to Man. This is from Sophia, who says, Big Ben's to Man United would be an amazing birthday gift to moi. First of all, happy birthday to you. And look, I'd love to see him. I would love to see him. I really would. Lee Gunner would be saying still an upgrade on Nketiah. Well, he is an upgrade on Nketiah. I think at 36, he's better now than Nketiah will ever be. So it of course, absolutely is. Terry, what's the benefit of Benzema joining Arsenal or Chelsea? Well, look, in terms of benefit for the clubs, I think it's the experience of the player, first of all, his ability from an Arsenal perspective to navigate the Champions League. I still think there's a goal scorer in there. I wouldn't take his form in Saudi Arabia as an indication that he is gone. I just think he's gone there and realized this isn't for me. And this has happened to a number of people before. When they change, some go to the MLS and it happens. Some go to La Liga. Some go to the Prem, and these things happen. But we've seen Karim Benzema deliver in La Liga and in the Champions League for over a decade consistently. He's one of the greatest Real Madrid players of all time. It's one of the hardest levels of football to play at. And even at the ripe old age of 36, on a short-term 6-month deal, this is a tremendous piece of business for either club if they can bring him in my personal and humble opinion. You had Ben Jacobs on yesterday who told you that it's almost impossible to get him out. The State Commission would have to sign it off. Also, it would look like the start of an exodus. Listen, no one is stating that this isn't hard to get done from a political and from a sort of process point of view. But to act like it's not plausible, what he also said, and I think you're missing this part, is that Benzema has got to bring a club to the table in the same way Jordan Henderson did. If Benzema can say, look, Arsenal are willing to pay me X, can you loan me? Or Arsenal or Chelsea are willing to pay Y? Can we look at a cancellation of the contract? There could be a happy medium here where they maintain the image rights to the player so they can still use him to, sell holidays and be on the, when I was in Qatar, for instance, there was a lot of players that had image rights with Qatar just for the World Cup. And there was huge buildings with big pictures of Neymar on there, advertising airlines and all sorts of, timeshares and all sorts of stuff. So they may still own those image rights. There are ways around it. And I don't think it is a stumbling block, but it's one that can be worked on. MA here says Arsenal struggling with FFP, not realistic. Probably his agent pushing these rumors. Look, you are struggling with FFP, but at the same time, if you're able to bring him in on a decent amount of money, so let's say you can bring him in and Arsenal's contribution is £200,000, £300,000 a week, I think that's doable. That's very different from laying out £100 million for an Ivan Toney today and still paying him 150, 200 grand a week. Over a 6-month period, it is considerably cheaper. And I think that, and again, when it comes to the wages of a player, that's a lot different from transfer fees when it comes to profit and sustainability due to how you can invest into that area. But as ever, people, I want to know what your thoughts are around this and your feelings on this as well. Terry, will a new club benefit commercially from Benzema? Slightly, because although the image rights may remain in Saudi Arabia, shirt sales could increase. And I know a lot of people say, but shirt sales don't help you. They do, because there's bonuses to be had for a number of shirt sales being sold. Plus, when it comes to the renewal of any of these contracts, it helps. You may have additional sponsors who want to get involved. Because even though Saudi Arabia as a country could still own the image rights to large parts of Benzema, that wouldn't cover every single element because he would still be a Chelsea, Arsenal, United player. So, of course, there'd be a commercial benefit because he's one of the most famous and popular football players on planet Earth. Tom here, one of our members, says, why would Piff loan him to Chelsea or United considering they are in and about Newcastle? It's a really good question, Tom, and I suppose it depends on how much of a cynic you are. If you're a cynic that thinks it's all a big conspiracy and Piff are eventually going to start loaning all its players to Newcastle and it's a way of circumventing FFP and profit and sustainability, then yeah, you're right. I don't think it's as calculated as that. I think Piff, they have much bigger ambitions than simply, I think they have much bigger ambitions than just simply helping Newcastle grow. So I think they would if the circumstances were right. Because one thing they don't want, even though they'd like to keep the player, they don't want someone who's disgruntled and not playing well. Because what a worse look for their league is an unhappy Benzema not scoring goals, being injured, not playing, as opposed to moving him out and bringing somebody else in who wants to be there. What is better for their league is not superstar names who don't want to be there and aren't playing. It's individuals that are going to make their league better. So you've got to get the balance right. So I don't see it being as big a problem as some people are making out. Navin here, I hope you're well, my friend. He says, more excited when Arsenal are linked with Benzema than when he is linked to any other club in the Premier League. This is the thing for me. It's not really that. I mean, my job is to obviously sit here and have an element of, what's the word? I wouldn't use the word excitement. I've got to be enthusiastic when I'm talking. Imagine me coming on here as a man. How I feel as a Man United fan is, I really hope Arsenal don't get this done. And I hope Chelsea don't. And I hope Man United get it done. But I can't present like that on a show where I've got actually a contractual obligation to give my best, give my all, and give the most amount of energy to presenting. That's the long and the short of it, my friend. I can't sit here and slag it off just because, and we get that in the comments on transfer videos all the time. If it's the link people like, they go, yeah, great, I love it. When it's one that they don't want to happen, they get annoyed by it. I don't make the stories up. I'm not the one who went out and made Fraser last night, put this story out. I think it would be an impeccable piece of business for Arsenal. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise. Do I want him at Man United over Arsenal every single day of the week? It's my job, though, Nav, and that you remember, and I respect you deeply. But I can't come on here and be unprofessional and be angry that my club isn't linked to players that I want. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I saw? I know you're just bantering, but a lot of people are not, my bro. I know you are. But you know what's funny? I saw a lot of people yesterday turning on Ivan Toney. Man's got no loyalty. How can he say he wants to go to a big club after Brentford stood by him? They're only doing that in case he joins Chelsea or Arsenal or Liverpool. That's all he's doing it for. All they're doing it for. I saw Newcastle fans fuming about it. Well, why weren't you, man, asking? Real Sociedad kind of plucked Alexander Isak from obscurity. He'd moved to Dortmund, hadn't worked, struggling. They kind of regenerated his career. Why were Newcastle fans not calling for loyalty from him? What about Bruno Guimaraes getting his opportunity at Lyon? Why were Newcastle fans not calling for loyalty from him when he was signed? Hang on a minute. Why were they not saying Dan Burn is a scumbag for not being loyal to Brighton that got him into the Premier League? This is why the loyalty argument is a load of tosh. And I just don't pick and choose when I'm happy or sad about transfers. I just remain neutral on it, my friends. There we go. Other stories that are going around today as well that I want to speak about on the show. Some of these are crazy. First one, Liverpool. Liverpool are plotting a transfer move for the Chelsea and England defender Levi Colwill. Now, this isn't going to be in January. I would bet my bottom dollar that this isn't going to be a January move. There's no way, shape, or form. However, Ben Jacobs broke this down yesterday, and since Ben spoke about it, the news has gone into overdrive. Clearly, some of these networks listen to our show and Ben. Right now, Colwill wants to stay at Chelsea. Right now, Chelsea don't want to sell him. But there are lots of rumours and murmurs coming out of Stamford Bridge that he's unhappy at being played at left back. It's not what he was promised. It's not what he was told would happen. If that persists and continues, there is a possibility that his head may be turned. Liverpool are saying to him, we want to make you one of our centre-backs of the future. Matip's body's breaking down. Of course, Konate's already there. Van Dijk is in the twilight years of his career. Yes, they have young, I want to say Kwanzaa. Is it Kwanzaa, Tom? Kwanzaa. I'm saying it right, yeah. I always want to say Quasi. Do you know what? I had a friend growing up called Quasi. And if I see a name like that, I think Quasi. He was a nutcase, he was. That's for another day, though. I don't know. I don't know where he is now. He's either really settled down as a happy family man or he's in prison. It's gone one or two ways for that guy. Either calmed down or man went jail. I ain't seen him for like 20 years. Anyway, they have those young players there, but Colwill is someone they really want to add. Interestingly, with Chelsea as well, some of their transfer stories right now are crazy. Crazy, right? First of all, this here from Bobby Vincent. There are some members of the Chelsea hierarchy who think the sale of Conor Gallagher this month is a logical thing to do. Now, I understand some Chelsea fans don't think Conor Gallagher is good enough. I understand it. I get you. But he's been your best performing midfield player this year, and your manager has made him your captain with Reece James's hamstrings breaking like a stick of celery. Deep that for a minute. Deep it for a minute. The hierarchy at Chelsea want to sell him. The manager doesn't. Crazy. On top of that at Chelsea, now this is the one that got me. This got me. They have slapped a £50 million asking price on Broja. Now, the clubs that are interested are saying this is heavily Heavily over. Of course, it's heavily overinflated. Of course, it is. He barely scores goals. Even in the season where he supposedly tore it up at Southampton, he only scored 6. He only scored 6. You know what I'm saying? 50 million. And I know Chelsea fan, John here, the Chelsea fan. So this made me laugh. Just said bargain. It's crazy. And this is what they're looking at. I think they're looking at the Broja and the Gallagher situation because their profit and sustainability levels are already maxed out. Even though they've spread the cost of these players, they are still sailing very close to the wind because they haven't got back into European football. And the problem is, what this says to me about Chelsea is that they could be taking some big steps backwards again before they start to move forward. And typically when your plan doesn't, in any walk of life, your business plan doesn't work and you lose money, before you can move forward again, you often have to go back, reduce your staffing levels, lower the level of services you give out, whatever it may be. You have to cut back, step backwards before you can move on again. And Chelsea appear like they're moving into that situation. The fact that they're willing to get rid of Conor Gallagher when the manager clearly wants him. He's been one of your standout players. I don't rate him that highly, but trust me, playing Lavia, Enzo, and Caicedo together is a recipe for disaster right now. They're too young, too inexperienced, no chemistry between them. The fact that they're asking for 50 million for Broja, you look at the situation with Levi Colwill, and imagine his head gets turned. It's what I say to Chelsea fans. No way Colwell's going. Why? He's pure profit. If your club's in financial difficulties, the player's head gets turned. This board already thinks it's logical to get rid of Conor Gallagher when no other midfield player is performing at his level. Now, in the middle of a season where you're 10th, 9th, potentially for a Carabao Cup final, I still think you'll knock Middlesbrough out. Imagine you get rid of your best player before. It's crazy to me. I understand long-term it may not be. But I think it's an interesting one. Look, Chelsea are in for Benzema. Maybe their view is we can get rid of these players. We can bring. Would Chelsea? Let me ask you this question, Chelsea fans. Broja goes, Conor Gallagher leaves. That frees up the money to bring in Karim Benzema. Are you happy with that trade? Do you think actually we will create enough chances for Benzema to score, therefore we will improve? Does that make sense to you? Or are you worried? Are you worried that you're getting rid of someone that's, especially with Conor Gallagher, that your manager really wants and is really invested in? I need to ascertain your views and your opinions on that, my people, because I'm not going to lie to you. Spurs are circling, they want Gallagher. There's a number of teams looking at Broja. I don't think you're getting £50 million for him, by the way. He is not a £50 million player. He really isn't. He is he's a 30, maybe £40 million at a push in 2024. That is it. Like, you think about this. Is he better than Richarlison? No. Richarlison hasn't been that great for Tottenham up until recently. I think he's finding his feet now. But what did he cost? 60 odd million? 50 million plus 10, I think it was. My memory serves me right. Broja's not as good as Richarlison. So no one's going to pay you more than Richarlison costs. In fact, I don't think he's better than Eddie Nketiah. And Eddie Nketiah wouldn't go for 50 million. Is Højlund worth 72 million? It's probably slightly overpriced now we look at it. But this guy is currently the top goal scorer in the Champions League. Okay, so this guy's got more Champions League goals than Broja has Premier League goals for Chelsea in his whole life, and he's about 2 years older. So let's put that down. This player's on 7 goals so far this season in a really struggling Manchester United team. Broja's played in some good Chelsea teams. I just don't think Broja's is good. If you ask me now, who would you rather have? You can get all your money back for Højlund and take Broja and then reinvest that Højlund money. I wouldn't do the deal. I'd keep Rasmus Højlund personally. But whether or not Rasmus Højlund is worth that money or not is irrelevant to the conversation. It's not the point. The point is, Broja ain't worth that money, and that's the deal that we're talking about. It doesn't make me a hypocrite because my club's overpaid for somebody because I didn't do that deal. I didn't sanction that amount of money. It's irrelevant to my opinion. It's like we get that a lot. People do it to Sav all the time. They say to Sav, "Oh, Sav, what do you know about football? You're a Spurs fan." It's honestly that kind of banter is going to get banned on the football terrace because it's dead in 2024. It's ridiculous. I'm telling you this now. He doesn't like being in front of the camera. My brother knows more about football than anyone I ever have on the football terrace, including me. But he's a Leyton Orient fan. Trust me, he knows more. He's like an anorak when it comes to football. And he'd beat most of us in a debate. He wouldn't ever do it on camera. It's not his way. But he's an Orient fan. So I just know firsthand through my own life anecdotally that the club you support doesn't dictate your football knowledge. There we go. Terry is innocent, guys. Yes, I'm definitely innocent on what Man United pay for players. I can assure you I have no input. What a weird... Luis Garcia, there's weird comments and there's terrible banter. Do you know that banter's so bad? Genuinely, I think your dad wished he pulled out right now or wore a scrum hat. Like, that's how bad that banter is, bruv. Like, your girlfriend would instantly go and cheat on you with your brother for seeing that bad a banter. It'd be over for you, my G. Do you know what I'm saying? That is like micro penis banter. Come on now, my friend. Relax your brain. Do better. What I'll do, send me your address and I'll DM you. I'll send you some paper and a pen and you can work on your banter. How about it, bruv? It's crazy. Absolutely. I'm glad you can take the banter, my friend. I like it. At least you're not a snowflake like that. I like it. Look, I'm gonna bring out KJ, I'm gonna bring out Tom Little and Jords. Listen, this is like a mini top 6 panel in the morning. I like it. Welcome back, people. Hope you're all well and good. Where's the right overlay? There it is. Interesting news today, gents. Benzema to the Premier League. Man on the surface here as well. I'm going to Tom first on this. Arsenal in for Benzema. Is that the... Look at your hair, by the way. What's wrong? Are you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm growing it out and it just looks a bit shit now. But all right.
You look like a homeless beetle.
Yo, Tom, what do you mean you're growing it out? To do what? What are you doing?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. We're going to figure that out.
Tom, it is better. Do you remember that? Do you remember when me, you, and Colin were in the studio and you came with that fade?
Oh, that was horrific. That was probably the worst thing I think I've ever done.
It was it looked like the council.
I had to buy a hat on the day.
Did it? He did, yeah.
I had to buy a hat on the day, so I refuse to walk around with that out in the open. But Benzema
to Arsenal.
I don't think he wins them the title. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think he fixes. I think he fixes some of the problems, but I don't think the striker fixes all the problems. Because I think their problems are more so build-up related. Arsenal went too slow. I felt that last year one of their biggest threats was quick counterattacks. I know they didn't really do it often, but they were dangerous on them quick counterattacks. And now bringing in Rice, I think, Timber obviously has been injured, but Kai Havertz as well. That they've pretty much just sort of committed to this slow, methodical build-up style that's killed off any threat from Martinelli, most of the threat from Saka, and pushed all the need for build-up on the DM fullbacks where they play Zinchenko, who I've never rated, Declan Rice, who's got to carry 3 man's jobs because Kai Havertz is about as useful as a wet paper towel, and Ben White, who doesn't like to attack. Benzema will score some of the chances that are created, but I don't think they're going to create enough chances for him. And I don't think it's the same Benzema that it once was. You've got to question how much how much desire he still got. I mean, how much is he on over in Saudi? Does he really love football that much at this age to come to the Premier League for 6 months to sacrifice all them wages? I just don't see it personally. I think Arsenal are probably better off just saving that money and trying to find someone on a permanent deal. Because even if Benzema does it for 6 months, you've got to go back into the market next summer anyway and find someone else. And you don't know who's going to be on the market next summer.
But let's be honest, that situation is not changing. The Arsenal cannot sign someone for a cheap price or a good price in January who's going to be at the level of a Benzema anyway. So may as well take on a Benzema for 6 months. Like the whole thing where you're saying like, I don't know if he's hungry enough to come into the Premier League. Have you seen the Saudi League? The money is great, but bruv, like they're going to stadiums on like university campuses with 500 people watching. And these are some of the biggest players we've seen in football in modern history. Benzema, Ronaldo, Mane, Neymar, going to these small stadiums. Come on now. They're literally, if you told most of those players, listen, you get half the wages, but you can go back to the Premier League and play, they're coming back to the Premier League. 100%. Like there's no question about that. Money's good, but they're already rich. You know what I'm saying?
On what Tom said, I'm paraphrasing what Tom said here. Do you think Benzema's finished at the elite level?
No, no, no. Like the way that he played, like in the last few years at Real Madrid, it showed that he could still go and still go. Like because yeah, listen, is he as quick as he used to be? No. Can he turn as quick as he used to? Probably not. But his football IQ, his positional awareness, and his finishing was the reason why he could play for Real Madrid at the age that he was. So I don't think he's finished. I just think he went for a project. It sounded good, and it's just turned out to be not as good as it was sounding. And it happens. It happens in life. Many people go on projects, figure out it's not what it is, and then they want to leave anyway. So he's not finished. He can give Arsenal an edge. He will make them better. But the question is, I think Tom brings up a good point. Is the striking problem the only problem that's holding Arsenal back, or is there more to it? Like, because the Havertz experiment hasn't worked. Tom's right, they don't play as quick in possession. So it makes you wonder if Benzema comes in, does that change anything really? Besides scoring more goals, which obviously means they should win more games, would that actually change the issue of getting the ball quick enough to him to score goals?
I think you also have to look at the fact that, look, this is an Arsenal team that we all know are bottlers. Yeah, they don't like the nickname, but they've tend to do it. This young team has tend to do it quite often. They really have. And Benzema's an experienced player that can come into the team. And let's be real, they're in a title charge. They're in a title. Well, they can't call it a charge anymore. You say they're part of the title challengers. And they need someone to come in who can sometimes at points in games just bring this team down, because we even saw in the Liverpool game, I mean last season, but even this season, when Arsenal get really comfortable, they're playing good football, it seems like the players start to buy into the fact that they could win this before they've even done it. And I feel like you need an experienced head like Benzema to come in, let these young players know, look, we need to keep doing this and sort of just balance out the team. I personally do think that it would be a better move for the likes of Chelsea. I think Chelsea, where they're in a lot more disarray, they're having a lot more problems. And like people have said, a lot of their issues do come around the team, but they have a lot of finishing issues. They have a lot of upfront issues where they're just not putting the ball in the back of the net. And it's clear to see if they did have a striker like Benzema, even just looking on the weekend, they had Broha up front, who was horrible. Had plenty of chances, plenty of touches in the box, but nothing to show for it. If you had Benzema in his position instead of him, you're looking at an extra 2 or 3 goals. People say Benzema's finished or even try to allude to the fact that he could be finished. Last season, he almost scored 20 goals in the La Liga. This season, let's look, it is the Saudi Pro League. You can't rate the league. No one's going to sit here and call it a good league, but it's not like he's had poor performances in the league. He's still, I think he's got like 10 goals, 5 assists or something along those lines in 15 games.
He played 24 games in all comps he played, and he got 15 goals. I don't know about the assists, but that's still not a bad return. Do you know what I mean?
He's clearly far from finished. That's the point. He clearly has the ability to still score goals. So if he's going to come into a team that can create chances, he's guaranteed to score goals. So I'd probably say Chelsea, the way that they are right now, the philosophy of the team, and just being so much disarray, he would probably suit to go in there more. But Arsenal would definitely benefit from him as well.
It may suit, but is it as attractive? So if you're Benzema and you've got Arsenal and Chelsea on the table, I'm not going to include Man United because I don't think we'll get him anyway. But you got Arsenal and Chelsea on the table. One's in the title race and one's struggling to even make it into the top half of the table. Like which side do you really want to go to? That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if you're Benzema, you go to Arsenal at the top of the league and in the Champions League still as well. Like that's the most. It might suit Chelsea more. It may make more sense to Chelsea, but I think the more attractive proposition right now is Arsenal.
I just wonder how Benzema fits in on the attacking sense, but with the way that Arsenal play, Jesus is useless in front of goal, but he does a lot of the other stuff really well, which is why he plays. Is Benzema at the age he is, at the point in his career he is, going to fully buy into this high press system that Arteta needs his strikers to do? And is that going to impact Benzema's game? And I can push the same thing at Pochettino and Chelsea, because Benzema in the last years at Real Madrid, he wasn't this pressing machine. He used to be a really good defensive striker, and in the last couple of years where he really sort of kicked on and won that Ballon d'Or, that side of his game wasn't really being used as much. He was very much, everyone else was doing the work around him, and he was just getting in the box. So is Arteta a man who I believe is stubborn as anyone, going to change his system to accommodate Benzema and enforce a Kai Havertz or a Martinelli or a Saka to pick up that pressing side of his game and make up for what I believe Benzema could lack? And that's what I just don't see.
He should though. It's not like these forward line are also old men and can't run. Like his forward line that he's got the options, they got all hella young anyway. So if you're telling me that this team can't pick up the slack of a Benzema because what they're too old to run, they don't want to run. Like, no, this needs to change. Like, they need to change Arsenal to win the league, and bringing in a Benzema and maybe catering to him instead of, I don't know, a Gabriel Jesus or a Saka or Martinelli, who are all inconsistent in their own different ways, might actually suit them better. The change of style, the change of pace might actually help them to actually win the league, because they've been doing what they're doing for how long and haven't won it yet.
I agree with you, KJ, that I feel like all the creativity of this Arsenal team has been sucked out of them this season. You see Martinelli and Saka tend to do the same thing, just cut back inside, do the easy pass. And those are two players which last season scored 15, 16 goals each because of their individual ability to take players on and just be creative in moments and create chances and take shots, and that they haven't been able to do this season. I feel like Arsenal need a refresh in their attack ASAP, like as soon as possible, just to breathe some fresh air there, because at the moment, Arsenal's very rigid. A lot of teams are understanding how they play, and they're just not that creative in the front line. They don't create high quality chances at this moment in time.
What do you make of it? Obviously, Chelsea are linked with him as well. How would you feel if he came to your club?
Is he okay playing DM or right or left back? That's what Poch's probably playing. So, you know. No, listen, someone put it in the chat that Chelsea play a high pressing game and everything like that. I don't know. I really don't know. Like Jords says, our problem has been finishing. Broha is horrendous. I know people can say he's only come back from injury, but he's just not good enough. The name suits because it's a big name. I just don't know. It's like, how good? I've not watched a single game of the Saudi League. I don't know how intense it is or anything like that. I don't know how long it would take them to get up to speed with the Premier League. It's 36 as well. You know, he's coming in. The only thing that's good about it is a loan deal. But the only thing is how much are these clubs willing to pay his wages? Because he is on an astronomical, even for footballers, he's on an astronomical, he's on like nearly NBA wages. That's astronomical money. He's on like nearly £1 million a week. So unless the Saudi clubs are going to go, we're going to pay for all of it or a huge chunk of it, I don't see either club, even as mad as Chelsea are with their transfers, playing this. I just don't. So unless they are willing to do that, I just don't see the deals happening. But as the player goes, yeah, we'd love to have him at Chelsea. We're desperate for a finisher. Do you know what I mean? But I just don't. It's too many red flags on this entire thing with the player and with the whole deal itself. So
there's a comment here. I don't quite understand all of it, but it says, Terry, this is on you. Me, I'm accountable again. These guys have absolutely no clue. Anyone who has watched Arsenal matches knows that creativity is not the issue. It's the finishing that is the issue. I don't understand how that's on me. I don't control what Jords thinks. Jords has allowed his own opinions. Like, why F me? What have I done? Why?
Hang on, Terry. The creativity is a problem. They have less goals in their front three this season and less points than last season. So it is. Your creativity is off. Martinelli's got, 2 goals? Jesus, 2 goals? Saka's the only one, but he's dried up this season. And Odegaard's got 3 goals or something like that? And that's because your manager has put in a German giraffe who doesn't suit anything. Do you know what I mean? A newborn. So it's like he's totally upset the balance of your team. You only needed to either keep Xhaka or have a replacement type player like Xhaka. And Kai Havertz is neither a midfield or an attacker, but this is nothing but an Arteta ego and vanity project, because he thought he was misprofiled at Chelsea after 3 years. No, he's just crap. That's what it is. Okay? That's why Germany played him at left back for a couple of games to try and hoof him in. Yeah, he's rubbish.
You know what with Benzema as well? I think people are forgetting because he's like his talent and his IQ and his vision and his a technique and ability. This will help the likes of Saka and Martinelli and hopefully Odegaard get more goals. Like I get Jesus is also good at doing it, but there's something about Benzema. Like he could probably make passes that Jesus can't. He'll probably see passes that Jesus won't see. Like Jesus is very good at linking up playing very simple balls, but you know Benzema could probably find a ball around the corner that you're thinking, oh, how the hell did he see that? You know, like even these things will help Arsenal more as well. So it's not just the goal scoring that will help, but also his hold up play, his link up play will also help Arsenal score more goals because you can't go from Martinelli, Saka, and Odegaard all scoring 15 goals each in a season in all comps at least. To this is what they're doing this season. It's
I
mad,
don't
so.
think. Sorry, KJ. I agree he would, but you've got the problem that he will still try and force Kai Havertz with Benzema in this team. It's not as simply as taking Benzema out and to replace Havertz. This is talking about Benzema replacing Jesus. Kai Havertz is still in this team and will affect this team as it has done right now. Odegaard is not the same player as last year. Neither is Martinelli and Saka to an extent. Roy's got the numbers. But playing wise, he's a player at the moment whose stats allow him to think you've got a good game if you read it. If you actually watch him, he's not having a good season at all. So he would. That's what I said. Arteta's ego will not allow him to drop Kai Havertz, and probably have a look at it in the summer. But at the moment, he will not allow him to drop Kai Havertz, or he keeps shoehorning him in. It's just
Arsenal have not been as creative as is being made out in recent games. They've had lots of shots. That doesn't mean creativity. In the Premier League, Arsenal have only actually created 2 more big chances this season than Brentford, who sit 17th and have been without their best player all season, and Everton, who have point deductions and were never expected to be, where they are. Arsenal created 54; those who created 52.
Let me ask you a question then. Let me ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
He's available potentially as well. Would Firmino be a better option for Arsenal because he's more creative than Benzema then?
No.
No.
Listen,
Firmino works when your wingers can get you 20 goals a season. Martinelli and Saka are not getting you 20 goals a season. So all of that is the same issue.
If they don't have somebody that's creating, but Firmino would help them create those big chances, and if more big chances are being created, surely there's a likelihood they'd score more.
But the thing is,
the issue is their striker. I believe isn't that they need a striker who has a bit of a physical presence about them in and around the box, which is why Benzema, I think he's a better option than Firmino, but I still don't think he's the best one.
Nah, that's not what it is.
They need someone who can stick. They need someone who can make the ball stick up there.
Nah, that's not what it is. Tom just don't want Firmino joining Arsenal winning the league, boy. He just wants him to be a Liverpool boy.
KJ, I don't need to worry about Arsenal winning the league this year. I've got no worries about that. They can't even. It's fine. I'm not worried about that.
But no, in a serious one though, like they will be more creative with Firmino. I just think like I'll be calling Firmino goals again if he joins Arsenal. Like I just think that they just need a better finisher. Benzema is not as creative as Firmino, but he's creative enough and has a better finishing record than Firmino. So I'll pick.
He's the more direct striker than Firmino.
Yeah, I'll pick Benzema over Firmino, but Firmino is special.
But if you get Firmino in, aren't you just having you've got Odegaard and a Kai Havertz there? So you haven't got goals anyway. I mean, they need a direct striker. That's where Benzema's better than Firmino.
Yeah, I think Benzema's a better option. I think when Benzema comes in, I think his presence alone helps them score more goals. I think, they've had some creativity issues. I'm not going to deny that, but I think a player like Benzema helps Arsenal. I still think they should be looking at their owners to invest more money so they don't have any FFP issues and they go out and buy. I mean, Ivan Toney basically said on camera yesterday, someone come sign me, please, bruv. I'm ready to leave. Bags are packed. I've heard a rumor that his bags are at the front door and he's ready. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in the training ground. Is it Coney? Like Odd and Wingy style, just waiting for that bid. That was a great January transfer window. Man, we waited in a car park or a training ground and the bid didn't come. We missed those days.
The Spurs, I can see.
I wanted to ask Jords about this Conor Gallagher situation because the rumours that Spurs still exist. Chelsea's hierarchy have said it makes sense to get rid of him this month. Conor Gallagher to Tottenham. You up for that?
I'm not moved by it. I'll be honest. Conor Gallagher comes into our team and doesn't start. He doesn't present. He presents a good option off the bench, but I mean, we've got players, young players like Pape Matar Sarr, who I think performed better than him this season, bit more consistent, and for me, he's got a higher ceiling. So we're gonna bring in a player to compete with him for £50 million, which you can invest in the squad elsewhere and look to bring in a player of higher quality. I see the reason behind the Gallagher sign. I don't think he's a bad player at all. I think he's good. I think he's had a decent season. I do think he's inconsistent at times, and for Chelsea, he's probably been asked to play a few different roles. So you're seeing little bits about his game that he hasn't been able to iron out. But I think if he came to Tottenham, he would improve as a player. He would get better. But I just don't. He doesn't. He's not a needle mover for me. He doesn't come into our team and take us to the next level. For £50 million, you're looking at a player who you'd want to start to help you compete for trophies. Like let's be honest here. We've got a team or a midfield when fully fit. We've got 4 or 5 options that are ahead of him. So for me, it's just not a signing that makes sense, especially at this moment in time. And yeah, I'm really not for this Conor Gallagher stuff, even though, again, I see why Ange wants him in. I see some of the things about his game. I think his time at Crystal Palace and West Brom were very impressive. I was a big fan of his during those days when he was given a bit more of an attacking role. But I just think at a top team at the top level, he's not ready yet. And he needs a bit more time to sort of bleed in and play and apply his time in the Premier League eventually. Like maybe not at Chelsea. I still think he can go to another team who's a bit more settled, play better football, play a bit more on the front foot, and he'll improve. But just not with us. I'm not for this signing at all.
I mean, how about yourself, Winter Surfer? He's been probably your best performing midfielder this year.
Yeah.
Do you find it strange? And it's not about you rating him. Do you find it strange? Your manager's made him captain. He's been a stalwart in your team this season, but your board think it's logical to sell him now at this point in time. Is it just an indication of the problems that Chelsea have for you?
They've been trying to sell Conor Gallagher since last January, so it's not news. They've been trying to sell him to last January. He didn't want to go to Everton, if you remember. He didn't want to go to Everton because he said he wanted to play. The rumor is he wanted to play for top 6 sides, which he's not currently playing for. But that's what he wanted to get. That we wanted to sell him. So it's not like a new thing at Chelsea. Listen, I agree with what Jords said. He doesn't improve Spurs' starting lineup. He's a squad player. Once you get a Carney Chukwuemeka fit and an Nkuku fit, that's the big problems though. They do a better job. Conor Gallagher looks good because he runs around, and that's what most English fans like a player who runs around and has got and complete beat the bleep test. You know that Champions League stat where it says a player's run this many kilometers? That's what English fans like. They like that type of player. Okay. Conor Gallagher can only do what a new role is being done for him, which is a defensive 10 role. He's useless in the pivot. Okay. He's rash. His tackles are rash. He just doesn't have any composure whatsoever. Now, he's been made captain. That says more about Poch this season than actual the player that other fans think he's our best player. That says more on Poch. He will add. He's a squad player at best, Terry. And as soon as we get rid of him, this is Mason Mount just with blonde hair and less goals. That's all it is. And you said we couldn't get rid of. Oh, we're not going to get this money for Broha. Are you forgetting how much we got for Mount? You guys said you wouldn't pay over above 45 million, and you paid 10 million more. So we're going to get that money no matter who it is, because it's a seller's market. We'll sell Broha for 35 because there's some mug out there who's going to pay for Broha. There'll be something like that. But Conor Gallagher, he needs to go. He doesn't add anything at all. He's just a basic player. That's all. And if it wasn't from Cobham, this Chelsea fan base wouldn't give a you know what about him whatsoever.
And what does that say about the rest of the midfielders then? Because he's that bad, and yet he's been your best one this season.
No, you think he's been our best. He hasn't been our best. He hasn't been our best. It's just that he runs around. That's all it is. That's just he runs around, so you think he's the best like that. Put him in a pivot, he's crap. He's rubbish in the pivot. Okay, he doesn't add anything whatsoever. All right.
Why put him in the pivot though? Because he's never been a pivot player.
That's what I mean. Don't ask Poch.
Well,
Ask
but
Poch, he
this is where I get where you're, I think when he's not played in the pivot, you're right. The problem is when I say he's been your best player, he's a player that your manager seems to love more than anyone. That's the bit that I find confusing.
That's on Poch though. That's the thing we don't get. We don't. This is the thing. You're building a team around Conor Gallagher, right? That should be a fireable offence in itself. That you're building a team around Conor Gallagher. Okay, that doesn't make any sense to anyone. If I was to ask an opposition fan, if your manager came in and bought Conor Gallagher and built a team around him, you guys would freak out. If I asked Jords if Spurs buy Gallagher and Ange suddenly builds a team around Gallagher, what are you going to think, Jords? You're going to question Ange, right? Right away. As good as he's done this season, you're going to go, why are we building a thing around Conor Gallagher? And we've got Pape Sarr, Basuma, and Maddison in the midfield. Doesn't make any sense.
These managers, man, you've got flipping Poch with Gallagher, you got Ten Hag and McTominay, you've got Arteta and flipping Havertz. Why do they love these weird guys? These guys just make no sense.
Ten Hag, sorry. His top scorer happy, hasn't he? What would he do about his top scorer this season?
Haaland's our top goal scorer. Højlund's our top goal scorer. So please,
is he just taking over him? No,
he's got 7 goals, hasn't he?
Wonderful.
The league, right?
Remember, Rasmus Højlund. Rasmus Højlund is the top goal scorer in the hardest competition in the world, the Champions League. So let's all calm down with the slander. Yeah, man. I mean, it's not my Scandinavian striker that's not scored a goal since November. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm just shameless.
Nah, look, besides the shameless prop, Conor Gallagher, he is a player that I think would work well at Wolves, would work well at Brentford,
Burnley,
Everton, Burnley. Like that's just the kind of place that he is right now. And Spurs doing this. Okay, look, I know Spurs have made signings this season that have been brilliant. Like everyone questioned Vicario signing one of the best goalkeepers in the league. People were wondering about this Mickey van der Ven. He's been one of the best centre backs in the league. So they have made some excellent signings from left field, unknown signings, and I respect them for that. Fair enough, innit? But now that you're trying to move to the upper echelon of like signings, and you're trying to get more well-known players, Conor Gallagher is not the one to be leading that line. James Maddison, brilliant signing. You need to keep on that kind of wavelength of signings if you're going to go for this midfield. Conor Gallagher isn't that one. He needs to be able to be the main guy at a club, but we've seen it. West Brom, main guy. Crystal Palace, main guy. He won't be the main guy at Spurs, and he's not the main guy at Chelsea. And you've seen how that's affected his game. So I just don't think he'll be a good enough signing for Spurs. And if they do it, I'm questioning not Ange, because he's clearly good enough to at the job right now. But I'm questioning Levy. I'm just like, why are you buying this guy? Like, why are you sanctioning 45 to 50 million for him?
Now, the thing is with that, KJ, is the person that wants him, the person that's been driving our interest in him is Ange. Ange is the guy that's really a big fan of him. He wanted him in the summer. We were pushing hard for him late in the window because Ange has sort of marked him as the man that he wants in his midfield. So it's one of those things that, look, I feel like Ange, he likes his profile, but I just can't, like you said, I can't agree with sanctioning 50 million from him. If this was a 25 to 30 million pound player, it makes sense. Bring him into the squad, but 50 million pounds, no chance.
I'm on Getty Images. I don't know if you guys have Getty Image account. I assume most of you don't. If you just search Big Ange.
Oh no! What am I about to see?
When you search Big Ange, right, on Getty Images, I want to show you who comes up, right? Because genuinely, it's the funniest thing in the whole world. Where's it gone? Where's she gone? Where's she at? Oh my god, she's amazing. I don't know who she is. I'm not going to go backwards now. I have to refresh it. Sorry, honestly. It genuinely made me die. I disappeared now. Where's she gone? It's some strange looking woman that comes up, but it's disappeared on my screen now, so I'll show it to you later. I want to address one thing here. No FFP issues with Arsenal. Stop chatting crap, Terry. Now, listen, this Arsenal myth that they don't have profit and sustainability issues, you've only got to look at their trading accounts. Now, I understand there's a lot of Arsenal fans pushing this notion that we're caked in money, we're super rich and wealthy, we have no issues. Well, if you look at the last 3 years, so let me just read you out what profit and sustainability rules mean. The Premier League's PSR rules dictate the amount of money clubs are authorized to lose in a specific period. They are put in place to determine how much is permitted to be allowed on transfers. Clubs are allowed to lose 105 million over the course of 3 seasons or 35 million per season. So all it takes is 5 minutes to research this. 5 minutes to research Arsenal's last 3 financial years. If you don't quite know when their 3-year rolling period is, 2021, they lost on their accounts, and this is what it goes by, 127 million. 2022, they lost 45 million. And in 2023, they lost 27 million. So you add the losses over the last 3 years, the club has lost 199 million pounds. Now, they'll be able to minus some of that. There's lots of reasons. Even Everton, you're able to like get rid of certain things. So money that's invested in infrastructure, money that's invested in youth, money that's invested in women's football. These things you can take off those losses. But the fact that Arsenal have lost nearly 200 million in the last 3 years, and we know they spent big again this summer, this notion that you're super rich and you're not sailing close to the wind of going over the 105 million pound mark, unless somebody can produce, anyone who's saying we have no issues, ask them to produce for you the evidence, the empirical evidence that what they're saying is true, not an opinion. Oh, we turnover is irrelevant. Profits. Arsenal have lost 200 million pounds in the last 3 years. So I'm not now. Listen, the only bit I agree with is your owners could invest more money that would circumvent this. That's the only element where I say you're right. This notion that Arsenal don't have financial difficulties is wrong. Now, I think what's happened is this. I don't think anyone cared about profit and sustainability for years because they've done nothing about it. But after seeing Everton get deductions and maybe more, after seeing Forest get deductions and more, the clubs are saying, hang on a minute, we've got to be careful here. We've got to be careful here because we might not be able to write certain things off anymore. There might be issues that we face in the future. And imagine how gutted you'd be as an Arsenal fan or a Liverpool fan this season, whoever you support. If you win the league, but then you get a 10-point deduction and it gets taken away from you because you overspent by 20 million quid. So I will say this, any Arsenal fan online who is pushing the narrative that we have not got profit and sustainability problems is lying to you. No matter how much you want that to be true, it's a lie. The facts are there in front of you in black and white. The trading accounts are public information. Every limited company in the UK, its accounts are public. Arsenal have lost 200 million in the last 3 years. Of course, they are close to breaching those rules and suffering a points deduction. In my opinion, though, like a lot of teams are. So it's a lie, whoever is telling you that.
It's
so
why, Terry,
go
I think this is not going to be the first January window that's going to be like this. I think the January window is going to be more like this in the future than it has been because of profit and sustainability. I think they're going to do all their business in the summer, which they should do. And it's going to be like loan deals. It's going to be probably the biggest.
I don't even think it's that winner surfer. I just think that teams didn't plan for the Premier League to start putting the implications in so hard and so heavy.
So that's why I think the January window is going to become less like.
No, I think throughout, like probably next season, teams won't sign as much in summer because they're going to save budgets for January in preparation.
They'll have to sell more.
I think it's going to lower the price of players.
I think that too. I think the market's going to end up like it's going to balance out a bit more. You're going to see teams spend a bit less in summer and spend more in more in January. But right now, the one thing is Daniel Levy's looking real good in this light right now. Everyone else is having all these problems with sustainability. Am I what?
Levy in and that. All right, come on, big Jords.
Right now, Enoch is looking all right. We're bringing in the money. We're the only team spending money right now. I was thinking this is the done deal show. You got to have the man that's actually doing deals out there. No one else is. So yeah, no, things are looking all right. Like, and I was also seeing loads of reports regarding like the match revenue and everything. And Tottenham are just because of all of this low spending over the past 3 to 4 years, we're actually in such a really good position for FFP that the next 2 or 3 years where teams might have to start like recuperating for the past couple years, Tottenham will start building up and start ramping it up even better. So
50 million for Gallagher.
First, folks. George said that Spurs will win the league in 3 years. That's what George said.
Hey, I've got a big announcement here though, and I'm really shocked. Strasbourg Steve is not in his bedroom. This is I didn't know you ever left. I didn't know you ever
I
left
got a
your
job.
bedroom.
I got a job.
Oh.
I'm a productive member of society. Come on now, Tim.
I like that. I didn't know. Listen, I thought you were a bit of a hermit, but I like it. You're out, you're doing your thing. What are you here to say, mate? What are you here to say?
I was just gonna say, with the whole Gallagher thing, there are just the thing that bothers me about Gallagher is he's valued so high, but his skill set is not commanding of that fee. Like, it's really hard to find a striker that scores goals at the rate that Haaland does. Hence, his price tag is very high. I can find players in the second division of France, in anywhere really, in MLS, wherever, that can do what Gallagher does. Maybe not to the same level, but a similar one. Like, if you genuinely want a player that can do what Gallagher does and then a little bit extra into a better level, is Lewis Ferguson at Bologna. They play 4-2-3-1 under Thiago Motta, and he plays right under Joshua Zirkzee, who's linked with Man United. And what he does is he does what Gallagher does in Pochettino's 4-2-3-1 as the attacking midfield. He can press, he can shoot, he can pass, link up play with Zirkzee or Orsolini on the right or whoever, right? So that's a player for me who's going to have a big a spotlight in the summer. Exactly. And with Scotland at the Euros. That's a player that actually would be very cheap, way cheaper than Gallagher, because, okay, he hasn't done it in the Prem, whatever. But this guy is someone who can he's actually good technically. He can actually score goals. He can link up play. He's actually a good footballer. Gallagher's not. You can say a lot of things about Gallagher. He's hardworking and tackles, but discipline and quality on the ball, that's lacking with Gallagher's game. Not with this kid, Lewis Ferguson.
Man played FM, you know. You saw
Yeah.
that Aberdeen kid
was
move and
that's
was like,
FM,
yeah,
Sided.
Lewis Ferguson, boy.
Yeah, no,
I mean,
now again,
we
Gallagher,
all know though
Gallagher
that
is,
Gallagher benefits from homegrown tax. I think we
Yeah,
all
he's
understand
massive
that a
homegrown
little bit, don't we?
bro, like I don't think people like Andrew. I genuinely don't think people watch our games, because if you leave our game and go, the best player today was Connor, you're lying to yourself. You just lied to yourself. Like, I get what it's trying to do, because the whole point of the joke is, well, he's free and your other two midfielders are 100+ mil. Therefore, you know, those 100 mils are waste. That's the whole point of the argument. But realistically, if you think that, you either you don't know ball, or you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Like,
David, we should be pleased about that, David, because they'll pay more for him.
Honestly,
pay more. It's fine.
60 mil. If we get 60 mil, I don't care where he goes. Honestly, I don't care, because the way we can reinvest that and the FFP pure profit, that's beautiful. I'm not a delusional fan where I go, I love players from my club and therefore they're exempt from doing A, B, and C because they grew up in Cobham. I'm not one of those people. So I just look at players and go, is this player either good enough now or going to be good enough in the future to help us win a league title? I don't think Conor Gallagher, unless he is literally a squad player, is good enough to do that. And squad players should not cost 60 mil on your bench.
The issue Chelsea are going to run into, though, is it's all well and good selling Conor Gallagher for 60 million. That'd be really good business, as would getting anywhere close to 40 for Armando Broja. And then when it gets spent on some kids from the Brazilian league, again, who are never going to play, again, and you're left with the same problems, again. It was pointless. You might as well just kept the player. The big Chelsea issue needs to be the recruitment as a whole needs to change. You've bought half the youngsters in Brazil. Stop buying the youngsters in Brazil, otherwise you can't actually develop them.
But maybe selling Gallagher will actually, you know, give a spot to one of these players that they've bought. Like, you got that, Ukachukwu? I don't know if I said it right. Yeah, maybe selling Gallagher is an opportunity to have this guy play more games because they feel like he's a better.
I think
footballer.
Carney Chukwuemeka would play more.
Yeah, you got Carney, coming through as well. Like, their squad is bloated.
He'll chuck a centre back at DM because he likes centre backs on the pitch.
No, that is true. But their squad is so bloated with just players everywhere. They actually just do need to sell and then work with a squad that's smaller and then start adding again, because you're right. They've bought every Brazilian wonder kid from FM. They've bought all these random players from France. Like, so may as well use that. And Conor Gallagher, for some reason, is blocking that.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. These sales, and even though David will disagree with the price, these sales are going to be put towards buying Victor Osimhen. We all know that, right? It's going to be the money's going to be used there. I know, David. No, I don't agree. Like I say, I know you want to agree with the price, but you understand what's going on, right, David?
I understand. I get what's going on.
Even though we disagree with the price, I think it's been put towards signing Victor Osimhen. Every Chelsea fan knows that. It's not Ivan Toney, it's Victor Osimhen like that. So that's all these sales are being put towards. But you're right, KJ. You're right, KJ. They need to bring, like, we're not talking about Andre Santos. There was a big thing about him last summer. He went to Nottingham Forest and they didn't play him, even though they wanted him on loan, but they didn't play him. You got the kid out at Strasbourg, the winger that everyone rates so much. You have to make it. Some of these players, I believe, will never put a Chelsea shirt on. They will never put a Chelsea shirt on. They've been bought to be loaned out and then sold on. That's what we did before. That's what we're doing now. I believe some of them will never ever play for Chelsea. But you're right. Some of them have to be given a chance if you rate them. A guy like Carney Chukwuemeka, I only played 2 games, but Poch played him in that role that Gallagher was in for the Liverpool game and the West Ham game, and he was doing well until he got injured. When he's fit, I hope he's been given a chance. But like again, Chilwell came back and he put Chilwell back on the left wing. So I don't know if this guy learns anything. Do you know what I mean? So
Chilwell left wing is crazy. Chilwell left wing is crazy.
Poch has the ultimate plan. He's going to play an entire team of defenders because then you won't concede as many goals. Therefore, you can't lose as many games. Yeah, you might attack, but like Chilwell and Reece James on the wing, maybe. A big physical target man like that Gilchrist up top.
Is that a formation in FM, Tom? You would know.
I'm sure Pochettino can create one.
I'm plays 5-4-1, but the 4 are like wing backs and full backs and DMs, bruv, and 1 striker up top.
I don't even play a striker as a centre mid. We park the bus. We are fully set in our low block. No goals.
Matt, are you there, mate? I saw your face and you buggered off. Are you there? Are you gone?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on the Benzema story? I know you love an Arsenal story. You tend to believe most of them in the group chat. What's your thoughts on this one, bro?
Well, it's something that obviously I'll be happy with. But to be honest, I don't see us signing anything other than a fullback because a fullback is probably the position that we will probably sign if we are going to sign anything because El Neni and Cedric will probably go at the end of this window to Turkey or to something like that, which frees up Zinchenko to go into midfield. And then obviously we're a fullback short pretty much. So I think a fullback would probably be, well, more realistic. I don't think we're signing a striker. I don't care what Tony says. We're not signing him this window. It's clear and obvious that we're not signing him this window. We may sign him in the summer, but we ain't signing him this window.
Yeah, Matt, nah. Listen, I don't like airing group chat nonsense, but you, Matt,
do it, KJ.
Matt, you said, no. You shush. You hush for a second here. Listen, you said if Arsenal announce the permanent deal of Raya, that means Tony.
Yeah, but we haven't announced Raya yet, have we?
Yeah, but why would Arsenal wait for the announcement of Brentford? Wait for the announcement of Raya just to say that you're getting Tony?
Because we can then buy him on a loan with an obligation. Currently, with Raya, he's technically on loan, so he's not actually a permanent Arsenal player as of right now.
Why would
you can't loan 2 players from the same club?
That is true. I understand his thought process.
I get that. No, I get that. It's a mad thing to do. There's no proof. There's no proof of them thinking of doing a loan deal. I don't know where you've got this idea. Like, it's a great conspiracy.
Because we can't afford to buy him outright.
Yeah, but where's the proof that you're even trying to do that? Surely someone somewhere would have said Arsenal will do X because they want to do Y. But no one's even mentioned loading.
Apparently we're keeping it under wraps, but I just don't believe it.
Allegedly, it's all alleged.
We're probably going to sign a fullback. If we're ever going to sign someone,
the sources trust me, bruv. The sources trust me, bruv.
The sources, exactly. Trust me, bro.
The source is the one from Aldi, not even HP. Not even
Arsenal don't need Benzema. They don't need him.
They don't need Benzema.
What do you mean they don't need Benzema?
They need their manager to change up the tactics again and go back to what they did last season where they were actually scoring.
Bro,
The whole
our backup striker has more goals than our main striker.
How many goals did you score last season?
80
What,
something.
this
80
time or the whole of last season?
Just the whole of last season.
88 goals.
And where was that ranking in the league?
I think second.
What was the difference between that last season and this season?
We had Partey for 90% of last season.
What's the difference between the tactics of last season and this season?
What do you mean by
You know
the tactic? We're
You
trying
want
to
me to
play like we
answer?
were
He
last
can't
season, but
say
it's
it. He
just
can't
not
say
happening.
it. He can't say it.
Anyways,
Say
let me
your manager-
not waste
What am I
time.
not
messed
saying?
up.
What am I not saying?
So
The
your manager
truth.
messed up.
The truth.
Y'all ain't scoring
is-
goals this year. You were last year. That's what we're
And
saying.
one player was signed, and is the reason why it's gone downhill.
Listen,
So you think we've signed Kai Havertz and we've gone downhill because of it?
Yes.
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 He ain't helping. He ain't helping.
Guys, genuinely right. When Timber comes back,
Matt,
Kai
turn your,
Havertz will start playing
turn your
proper.
camera
turn your camera on. Turn your camera on,
Why?
please.
I'm
Matt.
eating.
Yeah, no, you don't
Terry,
care. We
Terry,
want to
what?
see what you're eating, bro.
You can say with a
Turn the
straight
camera
face,
on.
You know you damn can't. That's why.
Terry, he said a fullback's going to come in and play Zinchenko in midfield. When has Arteta played consistently Zinchenko in midfield? Never. Zinchenko's your left back. You ain't
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
You know what's funny?
What
He's
you
played
dinosaurs on your
Thomas
wall?
Partey.
Doesn't work. I work for a tech company for schools, right? Allow it.
Please tell me that's your younger sibling's
Go,
room.
turn the camera off.
Is that your younger brother's room?
Turn the camera off. Save
He's
yourself.
not eating. Where are you,
Save
by the way?
yourself.
I'm at a school. I'm working. Well,
Oh,
I'm
you
in
work.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Woo.
I'm on my lunch break. I work for a tech company.
Oh, that makes sense then. Don't hide the dinosaur, boy.
That's
Like,
fine then.
it ain't yours.
Bro, this
Okay.
dinosaur is Yuri and Timber. I'm telling you, he's coming back and he's coming back a
Your
bloody
dinosaur's
dinosaur.
Kai Havertz, man.
He's
That's what
he's
it
going to
is.
be gunning. He's going to be gunning.
Okay,
for it.
so
anyways,
wait,
my point was that I genuinely don't believe they needed Benzema because, all right, if what's his name? If Arteta wants to play this style of football with more control and stuff like that, I believe he didn't buy the right tools to actually supplement this tactic. But however, you do have the right tools to actually revert back to what you did last season that was working and didn't break. Remember, last season worked. It wasn't broken. You didn't need to change it. It's just that you had injuries where Saliba was injured. And a lot of you Arsenal fans were saying, yeah, because he was out this season, that derailed our season. And also, I do believe the mentality of the team last season. Say again?
Do you believe that Saliba was the reason why?
I think it was part of the reason, but the mentality of the team, because it was very young, also, you kind of bottled it. But now I believe this season, you've got a little bit of experience there. I know you didn't win it, but I just think, why did Arteta want to change the whole thing when it wasn't broken? You still had something going there. A lot of your goals I saw last season was from transitional play. Martinelli getting in behind, Saka getting in behind, Gabriel Jesus facilitating, dropping in deep and letting Martinelli and and Saka play. I understand you didn't. You had to let Xhaka go because it was a promise that you were going to let him go. So I'm not going to get into that. But you should have, and this is why everybody's saying Kai Havertz was such a stupid transfer. Is you should have went for somebody else. What
we were planning to do was get Caicedo and Rice, but we would have had Caicedo last January if Chelsea didn't give him the whole bloody budget.
No, whoa.
Oh wait, hold on, that's Mudryk. That's Mudryk. Don't worry. That's Mudryk. You paid 100 million to like so many players. I've forgotten count. Right.
Wait. No. You could have
we
just
wanted Caicedo last January, right? But it wasn't going to happen because Brighton were not budgeting.
If you had played 60 in Jan, he's your player. Why
the plan
are you
was to have
going
Caicedo last January and to have Rice in the summer. Both of them obviously to play, but nothing ever goes on your first.
If that's the case, why aren't you calling out Arsenal for failing last January? Because they've ruined your own plan to make sure your team's better. No, like
You inquired in
well-
Caicedo the last 3 days of the January transfer window. You weren't working on him all month. You went there the
I
last.
don't
3 days
really
of the
know why
transfer
we
window.
didn't pay for Mykhailo Mudryk, because what he would have been in our squad would be a rotational player with Martinelli. But I've still got mixed feelings about that because I feel like he would have banged in our system. Meaning
pay
we
for
could
him
have
again
paid
if you want.
Martinelli at striker.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will sell him to you right
can
now.
sell him,
for-
yeah.
for-
You
Yeah,
buy our
definitely.
We'll buy him off
definitely.
you for about 60 million, but nothing above what you bloody
also,
paid.
Matt,
fine.
so if
Buy our
Timber's
pass
coming
offs.
back and he's going to make a
Yeah.
massive difference, like you said, I believe he will. To be fair, I like Timber. I want to Man United. And I'm good with the game. If that's the case, why are you guys going to sign a fullback then?
Because we're going to be moving Zinchenko into midfield.
You are not moving Zinchenko
But-
in midfield.
why-
Or at least the fans want
You're
want
not
that.
moving
I need to ask you a question. When you is that your opinion or is that something?
It's the fans' opinion. I meant
Matt,
the
are
fans'
you an
opinion.
ITK?
No, I'm not an ITK.
Do me a
Alright,
favor,
cool,
Matt.
cool, cool. Just
Matt,
check,
do us a favor. Do us a favor. Put the camera up to that T-Rex. It might talk more sense, please. Let's have a little chat with Gunnosaurus behind you, please. Let's
But we
do
all
that.
want Zinchenko to go into midfield because at left back he's such a
Bro,
liability.
bro,
because
why?
he
I don't know
can't
why,
defend,
though.
right?
brother. I have gone to bed at night for about the last 5 years, hoping and wanting to wake up in the morning and have Beyonce, Margot Robbie, or Michelle Keegan knock on my door and say, "Can I move in with you, please?" It ain't happened yet, and it probably never will. Even when you're as good looking as me.
You will
Mark
if you
Wright
put those.
got
You
nothing.
will if you put those dinosaurs on your wall. You will.
But
Yeah,
has
yeah,
anyone
yeah.
ever thought that Mikel Arteta would buy Kai Havertz? No.
Oh, okay, that's true. That's true.
That's true. That's
But
fair.
here's my
that's fair.
question though about that whole Zinchenko in the midfield. He can barely defend a square in the corner of the pitch. How the hell is he supposed to defend a massive space in the midfield? Because I know he's good at progressing the ball, but when you guys lose the ball, when you guys get transitioned on, or when there's another midfielder driving through the midfield, I don't see Zinchenko stopping that. I don't
KJ,
see
hold on.
him
Wait.
doing the guy to stop that from happening. Wait, where's it going?
In comes Declan Rice.
Why did you have to
In
stand up
comes
for that?
Declan Rice.
I don't understand
That
why you
solves
have to
all our problems.
What,
Here's-
Declan Rice
here's
is going to cover
KJ.
100 yards this way?
KJ,
This
Yes.
way.
KJ,
Yes,
they talk
right.
about he talks about Timber coming in. This is a guy recovering from an ACL injury, right? They want him to cover right back, left back, and centre back, and he's coming back from an ACL.
That
injury.
ACL is going again,
The other
bro.
one's
If he
gonna
comes in
pop.
and plays that regularly,
You,
you got to be careful. Look, boys, I want to thank you all for jumping on. Remember, we're live at 6 p.m. today for the Top 6 show. So looking forward to that. The link's already out, so go and like it now. Bookmark it, ready for us to go live in about 6 hours' time. But everyone who jumped on today, Sam, Winter Surfer, Strasbourg, Steve, Dave, of course, KJ, Matt. Who else was there? We had Jords. We had Tom as well. Thank you all very, very. It was like lockdown days. It was quite nice. It was like lockdown days all over again. Listen, everyone, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all.